You know that feeling where you're just at the right place at the right time? Well, that was my trip to Zion National Park. It was such a magical experience. The trip didn't start out so great, but it quickly became one of my favorite adventures yet. Driving in, there was a long traffic jam before the big tunnel.
Delay!
And then I went down through the canyon, passing the mighty mountains and buttes and mesas. Now, this trip was so last minute, so I hadn't done any research on Zion. I didn't know where to go, and I just kept driving in circles because I couldn't find parking anywhere. And I mean anywhere, guys. It was so busy.
Today at the park, folks.
This is like the busiest. The visitors center parking lot is so massive. I don't know how people figure.
So after getting stuck in the parking lot for what seemed like eternity, I eventually found my way out of the park. I figured it just wasn't meant to be. So still in high spirits, I went to the town of Springdale, and right before I was about to leave for Vegas, a little diner with the words Park House caught my eye. It was about 1 p.m. and I read on their menu that they served breakfast until 2, and if you know me, you know that breakfast is my favorite meal ever, any time of the day. And earlier this same day, I went to a place called Thunderbird, really wanted breakfast, but the wait time was insane, so yeah, I felt like it was just fate that I ended up at Park House. So let me tell ya, when I walked in, it was like I was home. It was the most colorful place. There were Tibetan flags hanging and Buddhas and crystals everywhere and sunflowers and just good vibes. So I fit right in. And it wasn't long before I was just making friends and sharing laughs with the workers there.
There's a guy that went to my school named Rusty Nichols. Rusty Nichols. And that was his name, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Hey, Rusty!
My sister, Shining Dimes.
And I noticed on the bar that there were dried artichoke flowers in a vase. And I was just way too excited about it because, well, artichokes are my favorite food. And I told that to the owner, but there's a funny story behind artichokes. So when I was younger, when I was like super little, my dad told me that artichokes grew at the bottom of the ocean and they used their leaves to crawl around the sea like scavengers. And I believed that story until like 7 years ago.
My favorite food, artichokes. Hey Dad, do you remember when you told me that artichokes grew in the ocean?
Did I really tell
Yes,
you that?
you did!
Well, they do, don't they?
Dad, let's get this straight. Actually, where do they grow?
And you believe anything.
Before they fully developed and grew eyeballs and...
They became freshwater animals after that.
We all evolved from artichokes,
With
just
lots
so you know.
With lots of legs. You always see them upside down when they're like this. They're like,
Get out. Get out.
The owner was like, I love that story so much. I want you to have an artichoke. And she brought me out to the garden, showed me how they grew, and ended up giving me one, which I take with me on all of my journeys now. So that was like, what? Thank you so much.
The Park House Cafe is now my favorite restaurant. Everybody, everywhere.
And then the kindness just continued. I ended up eating an amazing fresh meal with hot coffee, and someone ended up buying my breakfast, and I was just like, so grateful. And then there was a nice cowboy looking guy at the bar who asked me how I liked Zion, and I told him, hey, it's so beautiful, but it was just way too busy for me. And he, I found out that he was a regular in town, a good friend of the folks at Park House, and he used to drive Shuttle for Zion. And he told me, like, you've got to go back, girl. Like, you've missed all of the good stuff. Here's what you got to do. You got to park in town here. Then you walk across the bridge. You take the shuttle to the 9 stops, and that's where the magic is. He said, you didn't see it earlier because only shuttles and permitted cars are allowed on the road with all the iconic stops. So I was like, oh my goodness. So I packed up my stuff, I left a good tip, and the adventure continued. I found parking, I hitched a ride.
when you come back and see this bridge,
Yep.
just walk right across that bridge and look to the left.
I crossed the bridge, I waited in a super long line for the shuttle, and I enjoyed every second of it because I was listening to accents from people all over the world. And as I got closer to, getting onto the shuttle, I looked down at my feet, and guess what?
I know it's silly, but I was in such a rush to get here that I only grabbed these sandals. So
I forgot my hiking shoes. So I was like, well, I guess this is my life. So I brushed it off and I hopped on the shuttle, and the first person I sat next to, out of all of these people who are all international, all over the world,
the first person I sat next to is from Michigan, Ann Arbor, where I started the journey. That's insane.
So another just incredible synchronicity there. So I got off the shuttle at stop number 9.
At the temple of Sinawava?
And then I worked my way all the way down to all of the stops. I hiked all 9 stops, mostly barefoot, and had the time of my life thanks to the wonderful people at Park House Diner.
I'm at Big Bend. I just ran into some gals who, I guess they rented electric bikes. It's called like Zion Guru, and it's $90 for the entire day. And they recommend it because it's like you're in it, Wow. You guys. Oh yeah, Big Bend is like the perfect spot to take a dip in the water. This is my life right now. Just standing in a river, just to Weeping Rock and got soaking wet. So pretty. This is what the hike looks like. Now to Emerald Pools. I was told that you have to go to the upper one. Oh my gosh. With bare feet. Such an inconvenience. Okay, that's a wrap on Zion. Holy guacamole. So amazing.
On the bus ride back to my car, it was just the driver and I, and we were talking about how it's such a small world out here, and I shared my many synchronicities.
Oh, I would imagine, because the whole world kind of comes together here. Got the whole bus to ourselves.
Oh my goodness, I made it back to my car. It's been such an adventure.
When I got back to my car, I wanted to do something special for the owners at Park House. So I got out my watercolors and colored pencils, and I painted up a little card, and inside I just wrote, that their kindness changed my whole day around, and that a little kindness can go such a long way, and that I will be paying it forward 1,000 times over, and this trip I already have. So then, before I was about to place it in their door, I looked up from my car and I noticed the road sign in front of me said Serendipity Lane, and I just could not believe it.
I'm just reminiscing on this day, sitting here and thinking of how much of a synchronicity all of this has been, and I look out my window and it literally says Serendipity Lane right in front of my eyes. I'm not joking. I couldn't make this up if I tried, man. This just gets weirder and weirder, and I love it. Gosh.
I couldn't think of a better word to sum up the day. Serendipity. So I placed the card in their door, I took one last look at the Park House sign, and then just continued on my journey with a big smile on my face. Sometimes you just end up at the right place at the right time, and it changes your direction completely. My whole trip from that moment on has been about spreading light and love and expecting nothing in return, because the true gift is giving, and it has much more of an impact than we really know. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you like this story, and I can't wait to catch you on my next adventure. Thank you for liking and subscribing. It really helps out this channel, and I'll see you next time. This is Lydia Keene here, over and out.